I'm Dean Razavi. I'm the developer of Vidar. It's a RPG puzzler for PC and Mac.
Very cool. So how does the RPG puzzler work?
Sure. So the puzzle elements and really the RPG elements, you are given a series of timed puzzles in the game. So you have an opportunity to go into this cave and you're exploring it, and it feels a little retro. It has like those kind of SNES style graphics. And those puzzles that you solve, you have 10 minutes to solve as many of them as you can. Or you can also be doing quests for people that are back in town during those 10 minutes. And the rewards for the quests will help you solve those puzzles further. So you might get like an extra minute to your time, or you might get a mini map to help you solve the puzzles, or sprint shoes to help you go through them faster. So it's kind of a balancing act between getting through it and making, trying to get the tools that you need to get through it.
Very cool. What kind of puzzles are there? Are there like a whole bunch of different puzzles?
Yes.
A variety?
It's so they're what I'm generally describing as environmental puzzles, and that you have to get from one end to another, and you're actually trying to make your character go to the end of the cave. There's different environments. So the one that we were demoing today at Boston Fig was the ice cave area, and these are kind of the frictionless ice sliding puzzles that everyone is familiar with,
Yes.
and everyone loves. They're near and dear to my heart. If you've played any Pokemon games,
immediately my brain went Pokemon.
Yep. We're putting a little bit of a twist on this one. So in this, you're trying to particularly rescue a kid out of the cave, and the ice is breaking and things like that. So the layout is changing a little bit because the ice is breaking under him, and you can't use those tiles. But also, you're switching back and forth between two characters. You're playing the main player character, and you're hitting switches over here in this puzzle, and then you have to go back over to play as the kid and move him around. And so that back and forth adds like a pretty complex layer for people, I think. All of a sudden, that it's two, it's no longer Pokemon for people.
Yeah.
The second part to that is that the layout of the puzzles is all random. So we've got a bank of 20 different layouts for this one particular puzzle, and in some instances the switches are opening and closing doors, and sometimes they're moving rocks or rotating arrows, and so. I was standing there for 8 hours. I saw repeats, but people who are, actually playing the demo, the idea is you're going to get a different puzzle every time.
Do all the puzzles have that many different iterations?
Yeah, that's the goal, and also that you wouldn't necessarily even reach that puzzle in the game. The game is really focused on this idea of random storytelling as well. It takes place in a town that has 24 NPCs that all have their own personalities, their own stories, their own quests to give the player, but also their own relationships to everyone else. And so at the end of your 10 minutes in the cave, to do as many puzzles as you can, you go back to town and one person is randomly chosen to die. And so everyone else reacts to that, depending on what their relationship is to that NPC. And their plots diverge accordingly, which creates the sense of a random story there, because there's so many different permutations that can happen. The idea is that, this quest to save this kid, you're never even going to get it if the father can't give it to you, if he's died on the first night. So there are some people who are playing the demo who didn't even get to see that. They got to see something totally different, which is always fun. From my I know that players who are only there for 10 minutes don't quite grasp how many other options there were, but I get to circle and see the 4 laptops and be like, you guys are all doing totally different stuff. I love it.
Really
yeah.
Cool. So how big is your team if you have?
No, it's me.
It's you?
It's me. I've got a wonderful artist. Her name is Becca Bear. I found her online, and she's in Colorado, and she's doing all the art assets for it. And my husband is amazing, and he's a software engineer, and so when I have meltdowns 2 nights before Boston Fig, and I'm everything is broken, he's like, okay, I'm gonna step in and help. But I've been doing all of the development. We're still pre-alpha, but the big components the puzzle generation and the branching story arcs, those are in, and now it's just kind of pumping it full of content, which actually is both fun and a little bit easier. It's not so technically minded.
Is this for computer or?
Yeah, it's for right now. We have the demo just for PC. We're gonna get a Mac Linux demo up probably in a month or so, and the release is gonna be for all computer platforms.
Are you looking to like release on Steam or kickstart it?
Yeah, so right now the plan is to hopefully kickstart it in early 2015. While the engine is there and the coding is getting there and everything, the big thing is the art assets. The game is going to end up being about 4 to 5 hours, and that's a lot of art. So I want to make sure that there's an interest before I invest all that money in the art. So the goal is to do a Kickstarter in January, February, and then ultimately go from there to release on Steam or to Store or something like that. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Like a Facebook, a website, a Twitter, so people can follow you.
All of it. We've got all of it, and you can. The easiest way to do it is to go to www.vidarthegame, VIDAR thegame.com, and all right there. It's got like the Facebook, the Twitter, Twitch, and the Greenlight page, and all that stuff. The YouTube channel. So that's kind of the central hub for it. You can also on that page download the same demo that we were showing to people here at Boston Figs, just because
cool.
There's so many people here, and a lot of people who are like, I want to play your game, but all laptops are taken, so they can go home and download it. Or I want to play your game, and I want to play all of the other games, and I don't have time. So that was kind of our way of handling that.
Did you actually get to like walk around the festival yourself today?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
I was actually, unfortunately, I didn't get to see the tabletop at all. I was, chained upstairs, but I was really, wanting to come down and see the tabletop side of things. Upstairs was amazing. The digital showcase and the sponsors, some of these ideas that people are coming up with, blowing my mind. It's also fun to start to see trends. There's a game that was called Noir Story, which is in the digital showcase as well, and it's also doing randomly generated storytelling in which one person dies a day. Like the idea that we've never met, and we've come to very different games. His is very murder mystery, period piece, and it's awesome. And mine is more of a nostalgic story about loss and how that affects the community. But to see those mechanics, which I've never seen in other games, now suddenly happen twice in one. It's a really interesting thing to see.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Some of the other games that I was really impressed with, there's a fantastic game called Sombrero that was one of the sponsor games, which is just like a Western shoot 'em up kind of thing. And it's got a lot of charm. It's got a lot of character to it. And I don't think that comes naturally to a lot of people. Like infusing it with that, like, oh, I like you kind of spirit is rare, I think, in games that really had that really strong
that
quality.
connection.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else you'd like to mention, or?
I think that's about it. I think anybody, like I said, anybody can go and download the demo, and I really encourage them to. Especially, it helps us when we see people playing all of those puzzles in all the possible different options. We get to see how long did it take you, and start to figure out balancing. So tons of people playing it is amazing, and it really helps from a game design perspective. And yeah, I hope people like it. I hope it makes people think. I hope it makes people take a step back and and think about these unfortunate themes that happen in our lives. So.